The massive space station called Nexus Prime floated in the dark void between stars. It was bigger than most moons and had been the center of galactic power for over 3,000 years. Ships from 12 different alien species docked at its ports every day. Today was different, though. Today, the entire Galactic Council was meeting for an emergency session. Ambassador Kyung-ho walked through the long corridors of the station. His black suit was simple and clean, nothing fancy like the colorful robes and strange armor that other species wore. His hair was gray at the sides, and his face showed no emotion as alien beings stared at him. Some had multiple eyes. Others floated in gas clouds, and a few looked like walking crystals. They all watched the human with curiosity, and some with fear. The council chamber was enormous. 12 different sections held the representatives of each major species. The ceiling was so high it disappeared into darkness. In the center was a speaking platform where decisions that affected billions of lives were made. Kyung-ho took his place in the human section. It was much smaller than the others. Humans had only been part of the galactic community for 50 years, while some of these species had been here since the beginning. The human section had just 5 seats. Every other species had at least 20. Meeting began when a deep sound filled the chamber. It came from the Veltari section, where beings made of living crystal sat in perfect rows. Their leader, Speaker Zithal, stood up. When the crystals moved, they made musical sounds like wind chimes in a storm. "This emergency session will now begin," Speaker Zithal announced. The translation device in Kyung-ho's ear turned the crystal song into words he could understand. "We are here to discuss the human problem." The human problem. Kyung-ho had heard this phrase many times in recent months. He kept his face calm and waited. A new voice spoke from the Nethkari section. These beings had no solid bodies. They were clouds of gas that changed color when they spoke. Their representative, Collective Prime Weshatar, floated forward. The gas cloud turned from blue to angry red. "Humans have broken the expansion laws 17 times in the past year," Weshatar said. His voice sounded like wind through caves. "They have built colonies in systems that were not approved by this council. They refuse to follow the mining quotas we set for them." More voices joined in. The Ketharani, who looked like giant insects, with too many arms, clicked and buzzed their complaints. The Mordukai, gray-skinned humanoids with black eyes, spoke in flat, emotionless tones about human military ships being seen in restricted areas. Kyung-ho listened to it all. They talked about humans like they were children who had broken the rules. They mentioned the new human colonies on Kepler 442b and Ross 128b. They complained about human mining operations that were pulling too many rare metals from asteroid belts. They were angry about human research stations that were studying things the council said should not be studied. For 2 hours, the aliens listed their complaints. Kyung-ho said nothing. He just sat in his chair and watched. Sometimes he wrote notes on a small device. His face never changed. Finally, Speaker Zithal called for silence. The crystal being's body flashed with bright light as it spoke. "The Galactic Council has reached a decision about the human violations," Zithal announced. "Humanity will receive one final warning. If humans do not follow our demands, there will be consequences." The chamber fell silent. Even the gas cloud stopped moving. Everyone looked at the human section. "First," Zithal continued, "humans must abandon half of their colonies. You will choose which 15 colonies to abandon within 30 standard days." Kyung-ho raised an eyebrow but said nothing. "Second," All human military research must be supervised by council inspectors. Your weapons technology is advancing too fast. This makes other species nervous. A few aliens made sounds of agreement. The insect-like Kethrani clicked their approval. Third, humans will pay a penalty of 10 million galactic credits for each violation of expansion laws. This money will be used to help species that humans have displaced. The list went on. Humans would have to ask permission before sending any ship outside their approved space. Human trade would be limited to council-approved partners. Human colonies would have population limits set by the council. When Speaker Zithal finished reading the demands, the chamber was quiet. All eyes were on Kyung-ho. The human ambassador stood up slowly. He was not a tall man, but something about the way he moved made him seem larger. "I have heard your demands," Kyung-ho said. His voice was calm and clear. The translation devices carried his words to every corner of the chamber. "I will deliver your message to Earth." "And what is humanity's response?" asked Collective Prime. "Wesh tar." The gas cloud turned purple with anticipation. Kyung-ho looked around the chamber. He saw hundreds of alien beings waiting for his answer. Some looked eager, others looked worried. A few seemed angry that humans were even allowed to speak in this place. "You will have our answer within 7 standard days," Kyung-ho said simply. The aliens looked confused. They had expected fear, anger, or immediate surrender. Instead, the human just stood there like he was discussing the weather. 7 days? Speaker Zithal's crystal body flashed with annoyance. "This is not a negotiation, human. These are demands from the Galactic Council." "I understand," Kyung-ho replied. His tone was polite but not apologetic. 7 days. He gathered his notes and walked toward the exit. The chamber erupted in shocked whispers and alien sounds of confusion. No species had ever asked for time to consider council demands. Most surrendered immediately or were destroyed. As Kyung-ho reached the door, he turned back to face the assembly. "I do have one question," he said. The chamber fell silent again. "In your 3,000 years of existence, has this council ever encountered a species that said no to your demands?" Before anyone could answer, Kyung-ho walked out of the chamber. His footsteps echoed in the corridor as he headed back to the human diplomatic ship. Behind him, the council chamber was in chaos. Aliens were shouting, clicking, buzzing, and flashing with confusion and anger. They had expected the humans to beg for mercy or at least try to negotiate. Instead, they got a calm man who asked for a week to think about it. None of them realized that humanity's real response had already begun. The underground meeting room was 500 meters below the surface of Earth. It had no windows and only one entrance. The walls were made of metal that could stop any known weapon or scanning device. This was where humanity's most important decisions were made. Fleet Admiral Dongwu spread his hands over the table and blue light filled the air above it. Hundreds of tiny stars appeared, showing every solar system within 50 light-years of Earth. Red dots marked alien military bases. Yellow dots showed human colonies. Green dots were neutral space. "The situation is clear," Dongwu said to the people around the table. He was a tall man with short black hair and scars on his hands from his days as a ship captain. "The Council wants us to give up 15 colonies and let them control our military research." General Min Ho, who commanded all human ground forces, shook his head. 15 colonies means 30 million people. Where are they supposed to go? And if we let aliens inspect our weapons research, we might as well surrender everything. Dr. Hae-Won looked up from her datapad. She was the chief science officer for all human space operations. Her job was to make sure human technology stayed ahead of everyone else. "There's something the Council doesn't know," she said quietly. Everyone in the room turned to look at her. Dr. Heywan was not the type of person who spoke unless she had something important to say. "Project Absolute Zero has been successful," she continued. "We can now control the nuclear reactions inside stars." The room went completely silent. Even Admiral Dong-Wu, who had seen battles that destroyed entire fleets, looked shocked. "You saying we can make stars explode?" asked Dr. So-Young from the Xenobiology department. "Her job was to study alien species and find their weaknesses." "Or make them stop burning," Heywan replied. "We can speed up their nuclear reactions to cause supernovas or slow them down until they become cold rocks floating in space. The technology works. We tested it on an empty system last month." Director Jae Sung of Human Intelligence leaned forward. He was a thin man who always seemed to know things before they happened. "How many stars can we control?" "Right now? About 50, Haiwan said. "But we're building more devices every day. The aliens have no idea this technology exists." Admiral Dong-Wu touched the holographic display and it changed. Now it showed alien homeworlds and their stars. "This changes everything. But we need to be smart about how we use this information." "The Council thinks we're weak because we're new," said General Minho. "They've been in control for 3,000 years. They can't imagine that someone might challenge them." Dr. So-Young pulled up files on her own device. "I've been studying their psychology for 10 years. Every species in the Council thinks the same way. They believe that older means stronger and wiser. The idea that a young species could have better technology is impossible for them to accept." "What about their military strength?" asked Dong-Wu. Director Jae Sung activated his own display. It showed detailed information about every alien warship in the galaxy. "They have numbers on their side. The Council fleet has about 8,000 major warships. We have 1,200. But our ships are better," Minho pointed out. "Much better," agreed Jae Sung. "Our weapons are more powerful, our armor is stronger, and our ships are faster. In a straight fight, one human ship can destroy 3 or 4 alien ships." "It's not just about the ships," Dr. So-Young added. "The alien species in the Council don't really trust each other. They work together because they're afraid of what happens if they don't. But if something stronger comes along, that alliance will break apart quickly." Heywan brought up new information on the main display. "We also have allies that the Council doesn't know about. 3 non-Council species have been talking to us secretly for the past 5 years. The Tervani, the Ushkari, and the Kektal," Dongwu said. "I remember those meetings. They're tired of Council control, too. The Tervani have been paying Council taxes for 800 years, Jae Sung explained. The Ushkari want to trade freely with other species, but the Council only allows limited trade. The Kektal have been asking for Council membership for 2 centuries, but they keep getting rejected. So if we fight the Council, we won't be alone," Minho concluded. The meeting continued for 6 hours. They discussed every possible outcome of different decisions. They looked at economic data, military reports, and intelligence files on every Council species. Finally, Admiral Dong-Wu called for a vote. "The question is simple. Do we accept the Council's demands, or do we refuse?" Dr. Heywan spoke first. "From a technological standpoint, we're ready for conflict. Our advantages are significant." General Minho nodded. Our military can handle anything the Council sends at us. And with our new allies, we'll have help. Doctor. So Young looked at her psychological profiles of the alien species. They're expecting us to surrender. If we don't, it will shock them so badly that they'll make mistakes. Director Jae Sung pulled up casualty estimates. If we fight smart and use our technological advantages, we can win with minimal losses on our side. Admiral Dong Wu looked around the table one more time. All in favor of refusing the Council's demands? Every hand went up. Unanimous, Dong Wu said. Now we need to plan exactly how to deliver our response. They spent the rest of the night working out details. They would send Ambassador Kyung-ho back to the Council station with a simple message. But that message would be supported by a massive military and technological demonstration that would change galactic politics forever. As the meeting ended, Dr. Hae-won stayed behind to talk with Admiral Dong-woo privately. There's one more thing, she said. Project Absolute Zero isn't our only secret weapon. We've been working on something else. What kind of something else? We figured out how to build ships that can travel between galaxies, she said quietly. If things go badly here, we have a backup plan. We can leave and start over somewhere else. Dong-woo stared at her. You're telling me we could abandon the Milky Way galaxy entirely? If we had to, yes. But I don't think we'll need to. The Council species are stuck in old ways of thinking. They can't adapt to new situations quickly. We can. The Admiral looked at the holographic stars still floating above the table. For 3,000 years, the Galactic Council had controlled this part of space. In 7 days, that was going to change. Above them, 500 meters higher, the sun was rising over Earth. It was going to be the last sunrise of the old galactic order. 7 days had passed since the Council made their demands. The alien representatives gathered in the Great Chamber again, but this time, the mood was different. They were excited and confident. Most of them believed the humans would surrender. Completely. Speaker Zithal's crystal body glowed with satisfaction as other council members took their seats. The Veltari had been the most powerful species in the galaxy for over 1,000 years. They were used to getting what they wanted. The human ambassador has returned, announced one of the station's workers. He is requesting permission to address the council. Send him in, Zithal said. The crystal being's voice rang like bells. Let us hear humanity's surrender. Collective Prime Weshtar floated in the Nethkari section, his gas cloud shifting from blue to green with anticipation. Finally, these young species will learn their place, he said to the other cloud beings around him. The chamber doors opened and Ambassador Kyung-ho walked in. He looked exactly the same as 7 days ago. Same black suit, same calm expression, same steady walk. He carried a single data pad in his hand. The aliens watched him approach the speaking platform. Some were already celebrating quietly. The insect-like Kethrani clicked their approval. The gray Mordecai nodded to each other with their black eyes glittering. Kyung-ho reached the center of the chamber and looked around slowly. He saw hundreds of alien beings staring at him with expectation. They thought they knew what he was going to say. Honorable members of the Galactic Council, Kyung-ho began. His voice was clear and calm. The human coalition has carefully considered your demands. The chamber fell completely silent. Even the background hum of the station's machines seemed to stop. Our answer is no. For a moment, nobody moved. The words hung in the air like they were made of solid metal. Then the chamber exploded with noise. The Veltari crystals flashed angry red light. The Nethkari gas clouds turned purple and black with rage. The Kethrani insects buzzed so loudly it hurt to listen. Other species shouted in languages that the translation devices could barely handle. Speaker Zethal's voice cut through the chaos like a blade. "Silence!" The crystal being's body blazed with white light until everyone stopped talking. "Human, do you understand what you have just said?" "Yes," Kyung-ho replied simply. "You are refusing the demands of the Galactic Council." Zethal continued. "This has never happened before in 3,000 years. I understand that too." Collective Prime Weshtar floated forward, his gas cloud now completely black with fury. "You stupid creatures, do you think your tiny fleet can stand against the combined might of 12 species? Kyung-ho looked at the gas cloud with the same calm expression. "We don't intend to stand against anyone. However, we do have a counter-proposal." The aliens started shouting again, but Zithal demanded silence once more. "What kind of counter-proposal?" "Humanity proposes a new galactic charter," Kyung-ho said. He touched his datapad, and holographic text appeared in the air above the chamber. "All spacefaring species will have equal rights to explore and colonize empty systems. No species will control the expansion of others. Trade between species will be free and open." The alien representatives stared at the floating words in disbelief. What the human was suggesting would end the Council's control over the galaxy. Furthermore, Kyung-ho continued, all species will have equal representation in galactic government. Decisions will be made by majority vote, not by the 12 oldest species. The Mordukai representative, Leader Vashten, spoke in his flat, emotionless voice. "Human, you are either very brave or very stupid. Probably stupid." "There's more," Kyung-ho said, ignoring the insult. He touched his datapad again, and new images appeared. These showed detailed maps of every Council military base, every fleet position, and every defensive installation in the galaxy. The chamber went silent again, but this time the silence was shocked, not angry. "How do you have this information?" demanded Zithal. The crystal being's light flickered with fear. "We've been watching you for 50 years, Kyung-ho said calmly. "We know where all your ships are. We know your supply routes. We know which bases are weak and which ones are strong." Director Vexnar of the slug-like Pulvani species spoke up. "Impossible. Our military positions are classified at the highest levels." "Not from us," Kyung-ho replied. "We also know about the secret meetings between the Veltari and Nethkari to divide human space between them. We know about the Kethrani plan to take over human mining operations. We know about the Mordukai biological weapons program that violates your own council laws." Each revelation hit the chamber like a bomb. The aliens looked at each other with suspicion and fear. How could the humans know their deepest secrets? "This is all very interesting," said Zethal, trying to regain control of the situation. "But information is not power. You still cannot defeat our combined fleets." Kyung-ho smiled for the first time since entering the chamber. It was not a friendly smile. "Speaker Zethal, how many council species have homeworlds orbiting single stars?" The question seemed random. Zethal's crystal body flickered with confusion. "What does that matter?" 9 of the 12 council species have homeworlds around single stars, Kyung-ho answered his own question. "The Veltari homeworld orbits the star you call Kethras Prime. The Nethkari collective lives in the gas clouds around Moravek 6. The Ketherani hives are on the planets of the Zelnar system. So what? Demanded Weshatar. Kyung-ho touched his datapad one more time. The images changed to show the stars themselves. But these weren't normal star charts. These showed strange devices attached to each star. Devices that looked like tiny metal flowers with crystalline centers. These devices have been in place for 18 months, Kyung-ho said quietly. They allow us to control the nuclear reactions inside your stars. The chamber was so quiet that you could hear individual aliens breathing. We can make your stars burn hotter or colder, Kyung-ho continued. We can make them expand into red giants that would burn your planets to ash. Or we can make them collapse into white dwarfs that would freeze your world solid. If we wanted to, we could make them go supernova and destroy everything within 50 light years. Leader Vashton of the Mordecai stood up slowly. You're bluffing. Imp, I? Kyung-ho asked. He pressed another control on his datapad. Star Control, this is Ambassador Kyung-ho. Please give our friends a small demonstration using the Kethras Prime system. A new voice spoke through the chamber's communication system. It was calm and professional, like someone announcing the weather. Acknowledged, Ambassador. Beginning minor solar fluctuation in 3, 2, 1, now. High above the chamber, screens showed a live view of the Veltari homeworld star. The star flickered like a candle in the wind. For just a moment, it burned twice as bright, then returned to normal. Speaker Zithal's crystal body went completely dark. On the Veltari homeworld, millions of crystal beings had felt their star's light change. They would be panicking right now. The next demonstration will be more dramatic, Kyung-ho said. You have 72 hours to consider our proposal. He gathered his datapad and walked toward the exit. This time, no one tried to stop him. The alien representatives sat in stunned silence as they realized that everything had changed. Humans weren't asking for permission anymore. They were giving orders. As Kyung-ho reached the door, he turned back one last time. Oh, and one more thing. We're not alone in this. 3 other species have agreed to support our proposal. The Terivani, the Ushkari, and the Kektal are tired of council control too. He walked out of the chamber, leaving behind the most powerful beings in the galaxy, sitting in shocked silence. Outside the chamber, Kyung-ho allowed himself a small smile. The first part of humanity's plan was complete. Now they would see how quickly 3,000 years of galactic order could crumble. The council chamber had been in chaos for 3 days, since the human ambassador delivered his ultimatum. Emergency meetings ran around the clock as alien leaders tried to understand how their perfect control over the galaxy had suddenly vanished. Admiral Yeon-su of the Veltari Crystal Fleet stood in the command center of her flagship, the Eternal Resonance. She was one of the most experienced military commanders in the galaxy, having fought in 12 major wars over her 800-year career. Her crystalline body glowed with determination as she studied the tactical displays. Status report, she commanded. Her voice created musical tones that her staff understood perfectly. 800 ships, ready for immediate deployment, reported her second-in-command, Captain Hyun-tal. The target is the human colony world they call New Busan. Intelligence says it has a population of 4 million humans. Perfect, Yeon-su said. We will show these upstart creatures what happens when they threaten the Galactic Council. Their homeworld might have defenses, but this colony will be easy to destroy. The massive fleet moved through hyperspace toward the new Busan system. Ships from 6 different council species joined the attack force. The Veltari contributed 300 crystal ships that could fire focused energy beams. The Nethkari sent 200 gas cloud vessels that used corrosive attacks. The Kethrani brought 100 insect ships with swarm tactics. Other species added their own vessels until the fleet reached 800 warships. It was the largest military force assembled in 50 years. Yonsu was confident that no human defense could stand against such overwhelming power. "The humans think they can scare us with parlor tricks," she told her officers. "Making a star flicker for a few seconds is impressive, but it doesn't win wars. Ships and weapons win wars." The fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the new Busan system. Yonsu expected to see a heavily defended world with orbital weapons platforms and patrol fleets. Instead, her sensors showed something impossible. The system was empty. "Scan again," she ordered. "There must be cloaked ships hiding somewhere." Her sensor officer, a young crystal being named Junvik, ran every scan they had. "Nothing, Admiral. No ships, no stations, no defensive platforms. The planet shows no signs of recent activity." "What about the human colony?" demanded Yonsu. "Gone," Junvik replied. "The cities are empty. It looks like they evacuated everyone about a week ago." Yonsu's crystal body flashed with anger. The humans had abandoned the colony before the attack even began. They had somehow known that the Council would target this world. "Wait," Junvik said suddenly. "I'm detecting one ship. It's very small." On the main screen, a tiny dot appeared. It was a human destroyer, less than 1/10 the size of Yonsu's flagship. The ship was alone in the middle of empty space, making no attempt to hide or run away. "One ship?" Yonsu couldn't believe it. "They sent one ship to face our entire fleet?" "It's transmitting a message," reported her communications officer. "Put it through." The screen changed to show the bridge of the human ship. A man in a blue uniform sat in the captain's chair. He had short black hair and calm eyes that showed no fear, even though he was facing 800 enemy warships. "This is Captain Taemin of the Human Defense Force destroyer Soul's Pride," the man said. His voice was steady and professional. "You are trespassing in sovereign human space. You have 30 seconds to reverse course and leave this system." The crystal officers on Yonsu's bridge started laughing. The musical sound filled the command center as they found the humans' demand ridiculous. "Captain Taemin," Yonsu said, trying to control her amusement. "I am Admiral Yonsu, commanding 800 ships of the Galactic Council fleet. I order you to surrender immediately. Your ship will be destroyed if you do not comply." Taemin looked at something off-screen, then back at the camera. "Negative. Admiral, I have my orders. You will leave this system now or face the consequences." "Consequences?" Yonsu's laughter stopped. "What consequences? You have one tiny ship. I have 800 warships. Do you think you can fight us all?" "No," Taemin replied calmly. "I don't plan to fight your ships at all." Before Yonsu could ask what he meant, alarms started sounding throughout her ship. Her officers rushed to their stations as emergency lights flashed. "Admiral!" Junvik shouted. "The star! Something's happening to the star!" On the main screen, the image of Captain Taemin was replaced by a view of the new Busan system's sun. The star was changing. Its surface began to pulse and flicker like a dying light bulb. "Stellar detonation sequence initiated," Taemin's voice came through the speakers. "You now have 60 seconds to reach minimum safe distance of 50 light years. I recommend immediate withdrawal." Yansu stared at the star in horror. The nuclear fires that had burned for billions of years were becoming unstable. If that star went supernova, the explosion would destroy everything within 50 light-years. Her fleet was only 2 light-years away. "He's bluffing," she said, but her voice shook. "No one can make a star explode on command." 50 seconds, Taemin announced. On the screen, the star pulsed brighter. Yansu's sensors confirmed that the stellar core was becoming critically unstable. The star was actually going to explode. "Ships!" she screamed into her communicator. "Emergency retreat! Maximum hyperspace speed! Get us out of here now!" The massive Council fleet turned and fled. 800 of the most powerful warships in the galaxy ran away from one small human destroyer. Ships crashed into each other in their panic to escape. Some vessels suffered engine failures trying to jump to hyperspace too quickly. Yansu's flagship was one of the last to leave. As they jumped to hyperspace, she looked back at the star. It was now pulsing so violently that it looked like it might explode at any second. 40 seconds. Taemin's voice followed them into hyperspace. The Council fleet didn't stop running until they were 60 light-years away. Once they were safe, Yansu ordered her ships to turn around and watch what happened next. They expected to see a massive explosion that would destroy the entire system. Instead, they saw something impossible. The star stopped pulsing. The nuclear reactions stabilized. The sun returned to normal burning. "This is Captain Taemin," came a transmission from the small human ship that was still sitting calmly in the system. "Stellar detonation sequence canceled. The new Busan system is secure." Yansu's crystal body went completely dark with shock. The human had made the star unstable, then made it stable again. He had controlled the nuclear fires of a sun like they were candles on a birthday cake. "How?" she whispered. Her answer came when her long-range sensors detected movement throughout the galaxy. Similar demonstrations were happening at 12 other star systems. Every Council homeworld was experiencing stellar fluctuations at the same time. The humans weren't just threatening one star. They were demonstrating that they could control every star in Council space. "Admiral," Junvik said quietly, "we're receiving a message from the Galactic Council. They're ordering all fleets to return to home systems immediately." Yansu knew why. Every Council leader was now terrified that their own star might be the next one to start pulsing. The great fleet she had assembled was being called home to protect worlds that might be destroyed at any moment. As her ships turned toward Veltari space, Yansu realized that the balance of power in the galaxy had just shifted completely. The humans hadn't won through superior numbers or better weapons. They had won by proving they could destroy entire solar systems whenever they wanted. The age of the Galactic Council was ending, and the age of humanity was about to begin. The Galactic Council chamber looked very different now. The same alien representatives sat in their sections, but their confidence was gone. Speaker Zith-Al's crystal body was dim and gray instead of its usual bright glow. Collective Prime Weshtar's gas cloud stayed small and blue, showing fear instead of anger. 3 days had passed since the human demonstration with the stars. Every Council homeworld had experienced the same terrifying moment when their sun began to pulse with uncontrolled energy. The message was clear. Humanity could destroy any world they wanted, whenever they wanted. The chamber doors opened, and Ambassador Kyung-ho entered, but he was not alone this time. Behind him walked 3 other humans. The aliens recognized Director Yoon-ji, who was in charge of human stellar engineering. Admiral Woo Jin commanded the human space forces. Dr. Insu was their expert on alien psychology and behavior. The humans walked to the center of the chamber with calm confidence. They were no longer visitors asking for permission to speak. They were equals who had earned their place through superior technology and strategic thinking. Honorable members of the former Galactic Council, Kyung-ho began. His choice of words was deliberate. We are here to discuss the new Galactic Charter. Former Council. Speaker Zithal's voice cracked like breaking glass. The Galactic Council has existed for 3,000 years, and now it will be replaced with something better, Admiral Wu Jin said. He was a tall man with gray hair and eyes that had seen many battles. The old system was based on fear and control. The new system will be based on cooperation and equality. Director Yoonji stepped forward. She was a small woman with brilliant eyes and hands that were always moving as she explained complex ideas. We want to make something very clear. Humanity does not wish to rule the galaxy. We want to free it. The alien representatives looked confused. They couldn't understand why anyone with the power to control stars would not want to use that power to dominate others. Dr. Insu activated a holographic display that showed the psychology profiles of every council species. We have studied all of you for 50 years. We understand how you think, what you fear, and what you want. This helped us predict exactly how you would react to our demonstrations. You've been planning this since first contact, Leader Vashton of the Mordukai said in his flat voice. Before first contact, Kyung-ho corrected. We spent 30 years observing galactic civilization before we announced our presence. We saw how the Council controlled trade, limited expansion, and kept other species dependent on your approval. The galaxy was stable under our rule, protested Admiral Kesavar of the Thurvani, a species that looked like upright lizards with 4 arms. Stable for you, Admiral Wu Jin replied. But what about the 43 species that the Council has destroyed over the centuries? What about the dozens of species that were prevented from developing space travel because it might threaten Council control? The chamber fell silent. The humans had access to historical records that many Council species had tried to forget. The Tervani paid you tribute for 800 years, Dr. Insu continued. The Ushkari were forbidden from trading with most other species. The Chektal were denied Council membership for 2 centuries, despite meeting all requirements. Director Gyunji brought up a new display showing the stellar manipulation devices attached to every Council homeworld star. These devices will remain in place, but they will not be controlled by humanity alone. A joint commission of all species will oversee stellar engineering technology. You're going to share the technology? Collective Prime Weshtar asked in surprise. Eventually, Yoonji replied, but not until the new Galactic Charter is signed and the transition period is complete. We want to make sure this power is never used for domination again. Kyung-ho pulled up the proposed charter on the main display. All spacefaring species will have equal rights to explore empty systems. No species may claim exclusive control over star systems unless they are actively colonizing them. Trade between all species will be free and open. The new galactic government will have representatives from every species, Admiral Wu Jin added. Decisions will be made by majority vote, not by the 12 most powerful species. What about our existing territories? Asked Speaker Zithal. You keep everything you currently control, Dr. Insu said, but you cannot expand your territory by force or prevent other species from developing in empty space. The aliens looked at each other nervously. What the humans were proposing would end their special status, but it would also guarantee their survival. "There's one more thing," Kyung-ho said. "Humanity has developed faster than light communication technology. Every species will have access to this, making it possible to coordinate galactic government across vast distances." This was another shock. Instant communication across the galaxy would change everything about how civilizations interacted. "Why?" asked Leader Washington. "Why give us these technologies? Why not just rule us with the threat of stellar destruction?" Dr. Insu smiled. "Because we learned from studying galactic history, every empire that rules through fear eventually falls. We want to build something that will last for millions of years, not just thousands. The Teravani, Ushkari, and Kektal have already agreed to the new charter," Admiral Wu Jin announced. "Their representatives are waiting outside to sign the agreement." The chamber doors opened, and delegates from the 3 non-council species entered. They looked nervous, but determined. For the first time in centuries, they had a chance to be equals instead of subjects. Speaker Zeeth Al's crystal body flickered as he processed the situation. "If we refuse to sign this charter, you will use the stellar devices against us." "We hope that won't be necessary," Kyung-ho said calmly. "But the old system is ending whether you cooperate or not. You can be part of building the new system, or you can be swept aside by it." One by one, the council species began to agree. The Veltari were first, their crystal voices harmonizing as they accepted the new order. The Nethkari gas clouds swirled, in patterns that meant agreement. Even the proud Kethrani insects clicked their acceptance. It took 6 hours for all the details to be worked out, but finally, the new Geneva Accords were ready for signing. The document established the Galactic Cooperative, a democratic government that would represent all spacefaring species equally. As the representatives signed the accords, Director Yoon-ji made one final announcement. "Humanity has one more gift. For the galaxy, we have developed the technology to travel between galaxies. This opens up unlimited space for expansion and exploration." The aliens stared at her in amazement. The humans had not only changed the balance of power in their own galaxy, but they had also made it possible to explore infinite new galaxies. "The age of scarcity and competition is over," Kyung-ho said as the last signature was added to the accords. "The age of abundance and cooperation has begun." 6 months later, the first joint exploration mission launched toward the Andromeda Galaxy. The ship carried representatives from 12 different species, working together to explore new worlds that no one had ever seen before. On Earth, in the underground command center where humanity's leaders had planned their revolution, Admiral Dongwu looked at reports from across the galaxy. Trade was flourishing. New colonies were being established peacefully. Former enemies were becoming partners. "Do you think it will work?" asked Dr. Hae-won, who was now the director of the Galactic Science Cooperative. "It will work because we made sure everyone benefits," Dongwu replied. "The council species keep their homeworlds and most of their territory. The smaller species get equal representation and free trade. Everyone gets access to new technologies." "And humanity?" Dongwu smiled as he watched ships from dozens of different species working together to build a massive space station near Earth. "Humanity gets what we've always wanted: the freedom to explore, to grow, and to build something better than what came before." Above them, the stars that had once been controlled by an ancient council now belonged to everyone. The galaxy was free, and the future was unlimited.